Welcome, beautiful Paris Saint-Germain family. Am I shocked? Absolutely no. Should you be shocked? Absolutely no. We're going to be discussing the Lamine Yamal situation at FC Barcelona, the drama, the stuff behind the locker room, because now the reports are coming out. And what I'm seeing is a lot of similarities to Kylian Mbappe when he was at Paris Saint-Germain, but even worse. Let's take a look at the reports. Breaking. Lamine Yamal was reportedly not meant to start the game against PSG in the Champions League because he showed up late to training. And we've seen Jules Koundé, we've seen Rafinha, and we've seen other players at FC Barcelona being benched because they come late to training. Why? Because that's Hansi Flick. Hansi Flick is extremely strict. If you come late to training, you will not start the upcoming game. You will be in the squad, but you will not start your game as a punishment. So you don't do that mistake again and that you learn from your mistakes. As I've said, we've seen this from Flick doing this to other Barca players before. But Barcelona's bosses told Hansi Flick to start him anyway. So we can see that Hansi Flick's authority is going down, because Lamine Yamal can do whatever he wants. If he wants to come late to training, despite Hansi Flick making it very clear from players before that you should never come late to training, he still played the game versus PSG. Hansi Flick is said to be unhappy and worried about the pressure from above, especially from Deco, the sporting director, because he could mess up with the discipline he's trying to keep in the team as he benched Rafinha and Marcus Rashford when they arrived too late. And as you can see, Rashford, Rafinha, and I remember Koundé as well before being benched due to this. So this is something that Hansi Flick wants to keep extremely strict. He wants to have the full authority because the manager needs to have the full authority, especially at a club like FC Barcelona. After what happened, Hansi Flick reportedly told the board that they need to fully respect his authority. And I fully agree here. Barcelona have, given Flick the authority. He wanted this player. He wanted to sell this player. He was the main person moving on from Ter Stegen. That's Barcelona giving Hansi Flick the full authority, and Hansi Flick deserves it. I mean, before Hansi Flick came into Barca had 2 Europa Leagues, then they had that cheeky run which ended by Paris Saint-Germain. And this is the manager that last season won a domestic treble and took Barca to their first Champions League semi-final in 2019 and was inches away from their first Champions League final since 2015. When a manager does so many great stuff at a club, changes the mentality at the club. Look at the comebacks Barca made versus Benfica, versus Madrid, in so many other games last season. This is the manager they're putting to the side. And understandably so, it is Lamine Yamal. This is, one of Barca's best players. This is a star, one of the best players in the world, Ballon d'Or and all of that. Ranking. Not that he should have won it. But it's a high caliber player. But Barca here choosing the Lamine Yamal side ahead of Hansi Flick. And you remember the similarities I had with Mbappe and PSG. Let's go to more reports. Lamine Yamal has stopped signing his autograph on shirts for fans because he's considering selling his autograph. The Spanish teenager is close to an agreement with a company specializing in the sale of clothing and merchandise related to sports stars. Yamal has been instructed to stop signing autographs. The fewer side items in circulation, the more valuable his signature will become. I mean, this, isn't a big drama thing at Barca or something, but it tells you more about Lamine Yamal. It tells you more about the people around him. Yamal has been instructed to stop signing autographs. It could still be from the club because I remember that, back in the day, they used to give away shirts after the game. Let's say Mbappe scores a hat-trick, throws his shirt to a special fan in the audience and he goes away with it. But then clubs, they wanted to earn that money, so they tell Mbappe, give us the shirt at the end of the game, and then they sell it through these third-party apps so that people can get their hands on it and then, make a lot of money on it as well. So it could be Barca, it could be Yamal's representatives or something. I don't think it's that big, especially in the day and age we're in now. I think a lot of players and clubs are doing similar stuff, but, just another keynote on the Lamine Yamal saga. This obviously came out before from Roma Molina, and now it's even more relevant. Lamine Yamal's family has requested privileges from Barcelona according to some sources. Some of them are private jets, exclusive photo sessions, special favors, and other things. For the club, it's easier to say yes than to offend the family. So we can clearly see that Lamine Yamal and the Lamine Yamal family is getting more power day by day at FC Barcelona. And they're abusing it as much as possible because we will soon come to another report. Private jet, exclusive photo sessions, special favors. I think football players need to be rewarded from their clubs. Lamine Yamal should be rewarded from Barca. Yeah, Rafinha should be rewarded from Barca. But the main issue here is the over-rewardment towards Lamine Yamal, making him clearly, we used to joke, Kylian Saint-Germain. This is Lamine Barcelona club. This is Lamine Yamal Barcelona club. That's what the club is turning into. You don't want to give one person way too much. One thing with Mbappe is, when it really went bad is when we gave him that new extension. That was completely diabolical. But at least that happened after so many seasons at PSG, winning the World Cup with France, being good for us in the UEFA Champions League. And then you can bring up Messi as an example. We all remember the 555 million euros wages Messi got at Barca and everything. But Messi got all of that money, got all of that power. Messi could pick the manager and so on. He could do all of that after winning Barca a couple of Champions Leagues, after winning a Ballon d'Or, after starting a dynasty at FC Barcelona. And this is once again, I'm coming back to the Mbappe thing. You're not rewarding a player based upon what he's done. You're rewarding a player based upon what he's potentially going to do for you. Obviously, Lamine Yamal, even if he's complete garbage and injured and everything, he's still going to generate so much money from Barca. So we can look at it from the marketability perspective. But I mentioned Dembele before. Dembele, for example, now he's looking to have a new extension at PSG. And it's fully deserved. Why? Because he won us the UCL. He won a Ballon d'Or. He had that special year. So I think Lamine Yamal, if you have Messi right here, Messi, he did all of this stuff and then he got rewarded. Then you have Mbappe. He did good stuff, but not enough anywhere close to do for what we gave him in wages, in power, and everything at the club. And then you have Lamine Yamal, who's had one really good season last season, and already is getting all of these privileges and everything. We'll come to more reports, don't you worry. There have been some privilege requests about Lamine Yamal's family to Barca, including private jets, special photos, special favors. This is just the same report once again. But now we come to the bigger stuff. Breaking: Lamine Yamal's father was reportedly visiting Barca's offices to complain that his son wasn't sufficiently supported for the Ballon d'Or compared to Rafinha. This is what creates a beef inside of a club. Neymar and Mbappe, towards the end, they had a little bit of beef and so on. But Neymar's dad never went to the Paris Saint-Germain office, or Mbappe's dad went to the Paris Saint-Germain office and saying stuff like this. Mbappe did some dirty stuff towards Neymar, trying to take him away from the crown because of jealousy. And we're seeing similar stuff here. Lamine Yamal, his father, were jealous, of what Rafinha was getting from Barca. But why was Rafinha getting a Ballon d'Or push? Because he had such a great season. Because he was the top scorer, tied top scorer in the UCL, most assists in the UCL, La Liga player of the season, had the most goal GA in the big games, including the El Clásicos. It was not undeserved. The Lamine Yamal push, it was undeserved. That prompted a shift in Barca's communication strategy, turning its focus toward promoting Lamine Yamal and leaving Rafinha in the background. Inside Barca's locker room, that didn't sit well with everyone, but nobody dares to say no, as Lamine Yamal has an untouchable environment. And I actually like this ending. There's so many people that don't want to criticize Lamine Yamal, that don't want to criticize his off-the-pitch antics. I saw Kylian Mbappe coming out in a press conference saying that, Yamal is such an incredible, extraordinary football player. We shouldn't care what he does off the pitch. Obviously, we should care when it's disgusting stuff like this. It doesn't make any sense. And Mbappe saying that is very ironic, with him doing very, very disgusting stuff off the pitch as well. What do you mean we shouldn't care? So you're saying a football player should be able to do anything, but if he's good, that will compensate for all the bad stuff he does off the pitch? Absolutely no. And, a lot of people don't want to criticize Yamal because, the media is so strong. He is the media boy. The big media pages, ESPN, all of these are just glazing Lamine Yamal all the time. Yamal coming even second in the Ballon d'Or just shows the extreme glazing from the football world. And me, as a human, I don't think this is who should be the face of the sport. It's a very bad image. Imagine all the kids growing up looking up to this dude. It's not going to go well. It was the same with Mbappe, and Lamine Yamal seems to be an even worse version of Mbappe. Second thing with Yamal is his father. His father is extremely abusing FC Barcelona, because we have mentioned before, Lamine Yamal, I don't see him retiring at Barca, and his father will use that strong negotiation power. Similarly, not to Mbappe's father, but to Mbappe's mother. If you don't know the situation between Faisal Amari and Paris Saint-Germain, go and do your research, because that was a huge reason for all the drama that happened at the club because his mom was trying to abuse Kylian Mbappe as much as possible to garner better stuff from Paris Saint-Germain. That's why we gave him so strong wage and so much power, because she was constantly using the interest from Madrid to get the best deal for Mbappe at the club. And we're seeing the exact same things here. I'm telling you, Yamal has a contract until 2030. When we come closer to that thing, you will see the reports, you will see the media stuff, because Yamal's dad will absolutely love that. That's what they did with Mbappe. They used the Paris Saint-Germain interest and Madrid interest to get the absolute best deal from both clubs. They were abusing PSG and they were abusing Madrid. And we're seeing Lamine Yamal and his father, Omar Yamal's father, abusing FC Barcelona for the betterment for Lamine Yamal. But as they're mentioning, the locker room is not going to take this well. They see Rafinha as their king and not Lamine. Lamine Yamal was the king versus Inter. Rafinha was the king for Barca last season, including Yamal and Pedri. But Rafinha was the standout player. And yeah, similarly to what we saw Neymar, he felt really depressed at Paris Saint-Germain towards the end. Everything just being taken away from him. Not because he was ass, but because Mbappe and his family requested it. And one last thing, this list came out, top 10 highest players in 2025, and Lamine Yamal is already in 10th place. Why I mentioned Kylian Mbappe is we gave him a very good wage when he came from Monaco. You know, we bought him from another club. It's different than if a player is coming from your academy. But then he got that insane wage when he extended after 5 years at the club. Lamine Yamal has barely been 2 seasons at FC Barcelona and is already the 10th highest player in the world. Just 1 million less than Bellingham. Sadio Mane is Saudi Arabia. Benzema is Saudi Arabia. Ronaldo is Saudi Arabia. And Messi is MLS. So only in Europe's top 5 leagues, Mbappe, Haaland, Vinicius, Jude Bellingham, and Lamine Yamal. And you have to understand, money changes people. It's not good giving, young players way too much money, because then their hunger or motivation will go down. Does this mean that Yamal will not have hunger or motivation? No. But I'm seeing, once again, similarities to Kylian Mbappe. It's when you feed a child too much. He's already filled. Let's say 10 million a year is already good for him. But you give him 37 million. He's already the second highest wage earner at FC Barcelona at the only meager age of 18. So after looking at all of these reports, it's only going to get worse at FC Barcelona, I believe, because this father right here knows exactly how to abuse the situations to his maximum. And Lamine Yamal, is loving the attention, is loving this, is loving how the media is always catering and glazing Lamine Yamal and always defending him and barely ever criticizing him for the stuff that he does. Posting a story before the game like a child, 2 stories actually, and then removing them after dropping a stinker. It just shows up here, it's just gonna get worse for Lamine Yamal. Do I want that? No, I don't care. I genuinely do not care. Obviously, I don't like, arrogant people to succeed in their life because they don't deserve to succeed. You got to be humble. You got to be nice. You got to be respectful. You got to treat people like you want to be treated. But if Lamine Yamal wants to treat people and the surrounding like this is how he should be treated by the world. So I hope that changes with all of these reports coming out. And we will get so many more reports. This is just the beginning of the... And I followed the Mbappe situation to a T, especially towards the end in his last 2-3 seasons at Paris Saint-Germain. And I'm seeing too many similarities here. So Barca fans, be critiqueful and be honest. Stop saying Lamine Yamal is so good, I'm never going to criticize him as long as he cooks on the pitch. That should not be the thing. Mbappe. Obviously, Mbappe was very ass for us in many moments. But even when he was good, I celebrated the goal, supported Mbappe during the 90 minutes, but then I had my question marks, I had my critique, and was like, what's going on here? I don't like this, I don't like that. Be honest with yourself, because you should be putting Barcelona ahead of Lamine Yamal. Unlike what Barca, Deco, and them are doing, putting the player above the club. That's been it from boy PSG, and hopefully guys have enjoyed this video, and as usual, allez Paris.